some of the most painful relationships in life share something quietly strange in common. They feel intensely familiar from the very first moment. Perhaps you already sensed the distance before a single word was spoken. The emotional unavailability, the uncertainty that lived just beneath the surface. And yet, something inside you moved closer. Freud believed this attraction is rarely accidental. Sometimes what we call love is not discovery, it is recognition. In our last reflection, we explored how the earliest patterns of childhood quietly repeat themselves in the choices of adult life. But nowhere does this repetition become more visible, more alive, more painful than in the people we choose to love. Today, we sit with a question that many feel, but few dare to ask openly. Why are we drawn toward those who cannot fully love us back? And why does this attraction so often feel inevitable, as though it was never a choice at all? It begins long before adulthood, long before we have language for what we feel. There is a child, and there is love, but it arrives inconsistently. Perhaps the father was present in body, but somewhere else entirely in spirit. Perhaps the mother's affection was warm one morning and withdrawn the next, for reasons the child could not understand. Perhaps love felt conditional, something to be earned, something that could disappear. The child does not analyze this. The child does not say, "This home is emotionally unstable." The child simply adapts. The nervous system learns to anticipate uncertainty. It learns to read silences. It learns to wait and to hope in the space between one moment of warmth and the next. And slowly, without realizing it, familiarity becomes emotional safety. Not because uncertainty is comfortable, but because it is known, and what is known feels like home. Years pass. The child becomes an adult, and one day, across a room, across a table, across a silence, they meet someone a little distant, someone slightly out of reach, someone whose warmth flickers, present and then gone, like candlelight in a draught. And the attraction is immediate. We often call this chemistry, or fate, or something we cannot explain. But Freud would have observed something different. He would have said, "You are not discovering something new. You are recognizing something old. The emotional landscape of this person, the uncertainty, the distance, the conditional warmth is not foreign to you. It is the first landscape you ever learned to navigate. And so the nervous system, without a single conscious thought, arrives home." Freud gave this process a name. He called it transference, the unconscious relocation of past emotional bonds into present relationships. In simple terms, we bring the unresolved emotional dynamics of childhood into every new relationship we enter. You can see transference in the person who waits for approval from a partner, the way they once waited for a nod from a distant father. You can see it in the one who tolerates coldness again and again, because coldness was the emotional language of their earliest home. You can see it in the one who interprets distance as love, because love always lived at a distance. The partner becomes a psychological echo, an old voice speaking through a new face. But here is what makes this pattern so deeply human. The psyche does not repeat painful dynamics out of weakness. It repeats them out of hope. Somewhere beneath conscious awareness, beneath the choices, the attractions, the familiar ache, there is a belief, quiet, ancient, persistent. Perhaps this time, love will finally stay. Perhaps this time, the distance will close. Perhaps this time, the love will not disappear. Perhaps this time, I will finally be enough. This is not self-destruction. This is the psyche attempting, desperately, lawfully, in the only way it knows how, to finish an old story, to rewrite an ending that was never resolved. And then sometimes, rarely perhaps, someone arrives differently. They are consistent. They do not disappear. Their warmth does not flicker. and something unexpected happens. It feels strange, perhaps even uncomfortable, perhaps even boring. The nervous system, trained for uncertainty, calibrated for distance, does not know how to interpret calm. When love arrives without anxiety, peace can feel like danger. The absence of tension is read as the absence of passion. Stability is mistaken for flatness. Reliability becomes invisible because it does not activate the old, familiar alarm. And so, quietly, without realizing it, we begin to move away from the very thing we said we wanted, back toward what feels real, back toward what feels like love, back toward the familiar ache. Freud was not offering us a cure. He was offering us a mirror. Awareness does not immediately change attraction. It does not instantly dissolve patterns that took years to form, but it does something quieter, something perhaps more important. It allows you to pause in the moment when the familiar pull begins and ask a different question. Am I moving toward connection or toward memory? Is this love I am feeling, or is this recognition? Is this person someone new, or are they someone I have always known? Perhaps you were never truly searching for distant love itself. Perhaps what you were searching for was resolution, an emotional story that began long before you had words for it, a chapter that was left open, a feeling that was never fully answered. And if this reflection has landed somewhere inside you, if something here felt not like new information, but like something you already quietly knew, then perhaps you are already closer than you think. Because recognizing the pattern is the first moment freedom becomes possible.